So you've probably heard by now that Donald Trump is probably going to be Time's Man of the Year / person. Here's the original tweet that went out over the holiday break. He said, Time magazine called to say that I was probably going to be named Man Person of the Year, like last year, but I would have to agree to an interview and a major photo shoot. I said probably is no good and took a pass. Thanks anyway. So that was out for a while. People had time to respond to it, including Time magazine itself, whose spokeswoman said, quote, the president is incorrect about how we choose persons of the year. Essentially saying, no, it doesn't even work that way. Like there is no phone call like that happens. And then further, the chief content officer chimed in over Twitter, shooting the idea down even further and in a wider scope, saying, amazing, not a speck of truth here. Trump tweets he took a pass at being named Times Person of the Year, but not a speck of truth here. What happened?
Okay, I know what happened.
Great.
So Donald Trump is a megalomaniac and all he cares about is himself and he hears what he wants to hear. So if he hears a compliment or what he perceives to be a compliment, he's running with it and he's telling the whole world, okay? If he hears what he perceives to be an insult, then the person's the worst and etc. As we're about to show you in his differing views of Time magazine throughout the years, which is awesome. So stay tuned for that in a second, okay? But probably what happened here is a reporter calls in and says, you're on the list for candidates for Man of the Year, which is very logical. As a fascinating president bordering on lunacy, you should certainly be on the candidates list for Man of the Year. What Trump hears is, I'm probably Man of the Year.
Odds are at this point.
Yeah. And but they want me to come in and do an interview, and I don't want to do an interview. But it was going to be me. Hey, everybody, it was going to be me.
What other phone calls could Time magazine possibly make other than to tell me I will be Man of the Year? Just if you parse it out for me is the best part. It says, but I would have to agree to an interview and a major photo shoot. I said probably is no good and took a pass. It's like, come on, buddy. Like. They don't announce it like that. Another thing that I think probably happened is even more removed from reality, but I think is probably what happens is before he receives his real news, they've decided he won't listen unless he receives a list of compliments first, many of which are fictitious. So I think someone has to start with like a notepad to say, okay, so Time said you're probably gonna be Man of the Year. The Pope called to say that you're the awesomest. Beyonce called to say that you're prettier than her. And then he gets to the actual news. Like I think that there is like a weird thing that they have to do to butter him up.
Yeah, no, look, Time magazine is probably going to want an interview with him. They might want to suggest that he's one of the candidates. Again, that would be perfectly normal. Hitler's been Person of the Year. Trump's been Person of the Year just last year.
Yeah,
right?
An amazing fact about Donald Trump. Hitler has been Person of the Year. Donald at one point said he did attack the magazine for choosing a, quote, person who was responsible for ruining Germany. Unfortunately, that tweet was about when they chose Angela Merkel in 2015.
Not Hitler.
Not Hitler.
He was pissed that they hadn't chosen him. So he probably took them calling as like, it's me again, isn't it? I'm not gonna do it. Or he thought, it's not gonna be me. So I'll get out ahead of this and I'll claim that it was gonna be me. And when they say it wasn't, I'll say, oh yeah, you see that, the lying media, etc. When it should, but by the way, the more important part is, why do you care? You know what you are? You're the president, you're the commander in chief. You're arguably the most powerful man on earth. What the hell do you care if you're on Times magazine Person of the Year or not? Who cares?
The idea that Hitler has been Person of the Year is exactly like him wanting to be Person of the Year is totally the any PR is good PR approach. Because he just wants to be talked about. Like it's not gonna be an utterly flattering article, but guess what? I don't think he's going to be reading the article. I think he's going to see himself on the cover. He is oddly obsessed, regardless, with Time magazine. He has a love-hate relationship that fluctuates back and forth between love and hate, depending on whether he thinks that Time magazine loves him or hates him. So it dates back to at least 2012. There have been many tweets all over the spectrum of liking and hating them, including but not limited to one tweet that said, I knew last year that Time magazine lost all credibility. I knew that last year that Time magazine lost all credibility when they didn't include me in their top 100. And then he says another one later when he is on the cover of Time magazine, on the cover of Time magazine, a great honor. He likes them when they like him. He hates them when they don't like him.
But he went on to say in April 2013, Time magazine lists the 100 most influential people is a joke and a stunt of a magazine that will, like Newsweek, soon be dead. Bad list, okay? So if it was such a bad list and it's a joke, why a couple of years later when you are selected, you say it is a great honor? Another time he's put on the cover and he goes out and tells him, this is after he's already said over and over again that Time's a joke and the worst and about to go bankrupt. He then turns around and goes, everybody go buy Time magazine because I'm on the cover.
It's just so transparent.
What a child, what a child. Like, are you not aware that what you are saying is being recorded? That the tweeter machine exists and we could all see it. We could see the tweets where you said they were terrible and horrible because they didn't put you on the cover. We could see the ones where you say that it's wonderful and it's a great honor. And we can see that they both come from you. Like, he doesn't understand that simple concept because he has the mentality of, I don't want to insult children anymore. I'm serious. I think children as young as 7 are smarter than Donald Trump, understand the world better than Donald Trump. My 7-year-old wouldn't go around saying, oh, that couch is great. No, it's the worst, right? Like what? He would understand that makes no sense.
But it's weird because maybe he also just forgets what he said. It either doesn't matter to him that he's contradicting himself because he just wants to live in the moment and get people, to focus on what they're saying about him at any given time and then cast himself in the best light in relation to it. Or he just is forgetting that he's done this.
No, it's similar to that. Even as his own friends have said, he is a pathological liar.
Right.
He can't help himself. And he is so narcissistic that the world revolves around him. So after crapping all over Time earlier, in early of 2016, just last year, he said, thank you to Time magazine for naming the person of the year a great honor. He then also said, in another instance, remember, get Time magazine, I'm on the cover. Okay, everything is about Donald Trump. He's a sad, pathetic, pathological narcissist.
But we haven't quite mentioned the most ridiculous, in my opinion, Time magazine story involving Donald Trump. And it centers on this cover. This looks like a cover of Time magazine. Now, this appeared in multiple Donald Trump-owned properties around the world, literally around the world, not just in the US. It says, Donald Trump, The Apprentice is a television smash. People saw this at his golf clubs and various hotels. There's one problem, it's fake. It is not, it's from a March 1st edition of the year that it says on the cover. There was no March 1st edition that year. Not only that, there's no mailing label. There's also a barcode, which someone found out doesn't even refer to anything that has to do with Time magazine, but rather a karaoke software package that lets you quote DJ, VJ, and even sing karaoke. It's insane and fine, and only recent. It was up for years all over the place until someone was like, I think the boundary on the outside is a little too thin or something like that. And they found it and eventually they finally took it down.
It was literally fake news.
Yes.
That he was featuring.
Ugh.
He is a pathetic man-child. If you like the Young Turks, you'll love Young Turks membership. TYTnetwork.com/join.